Studying in London, the truth behind the dream. Hello, today I want to share the inspiring story of Mai, a student from Vietnam who moved to London to chase her dreams. Her journey will motivate anyone who wants to study abroad, showing how hard work and persistence can help you overcome challenges. Mai's story is a great reminder to never give up on your dreams, no matter where you start. Let's start. Hi, my name is Mai, and I am 20 years old. I come from a small town in Vietnam. My parents were farmers, and they worked hard every day in the fields to support our family. I was their only daughter, and they always dreamed of giving me a better life. Life was not always easy, but they encouraged me to study and chase my dreams. I still remember the day I got my university acceptance letter. I was so happy. I was going to London to study. Back in my small town, I always dreamed of working in a big company. I thought London was the best place to start my future. But there was one big challenge: money. My family was not rich, and studying in London was expensive. My parents saved every penny to support me. I knew I had to be careful with money and find a job as soon as possible. I told myself, I will study hard, work hard, and make sure their sacrifices are worth it. Before leaving, my big dream. Before I left for London, I imagined a perfect life. I thought I would make many friends, speak English fluently in a few weeks, and visit famous places every weekend. I thought I would live in a nice, clean apartment. I told myself this will be the best time of my life. When I arrived in London, a big change. Then I arrived in London. The airport was big and busy. I was excited but also scared. I didn't know where to go. The train system looked confusing and the people spoke so fast. I didn't understand everything. Luckily, on the plane, I met Amrit, an Indian student who had already been in London for 2 years. We started talking and I told him it was my first time in the city. Seeing my nervousness, he offered to help. When we landed, he guided me through immigration and even showed me how to take the train. Without his help, I would have been completely lost. Amrit also helped me find my student room in East London. It was small and expensive, but I was happy to have a place to sleep. After such a long and tiring journey, I finally felt a little more at ease. Before I even left the terminal, I faced one more challenge: getting a mobile SIM card. Amrit explained the process of choosing a local provider and helped me set up my SIM card so I could stay connected with family and friends back home. Studying and finding my first job. Studying was challenging, especially during my first day of college. I walked into the lecture hall filled with unfamiliar faces, feeling a mix of excitement and nerves. The campus was massive, and it was easy to get lost. The professors seemed experienced and confident, but I felt out of place, struggling to keep up with the fast-paced lectures. I had never felt so overwhelmed, but I knew I had to push through. Thankfully, I made a few friends early on. A couple of students noticed that I was struggling and offered to help. They showed me around the campus, introduced me to study groups, and gave me tips on how to manage my time. Having these friends made the first few days much easier. With their support, I felt more confident and started adjusting to university life. In addition to studying, I also needed to find a part-time job. London was expensive, and I needed to support myself. I applied everywhere: cafes, shops, supermarkets, but I kept getting rejections. It felt disheartening, and at times I wondered if I would ever find something. But I kept pushing forward, knowing that giving up wasn't an option. Every week I called my parents back home, always trying to sound cheerful. I didn't want them to worry. "How's London, Mai? Are you okay?" my mum would ask. "I'm doing great, Mom. Classes are going well, and I'm making new friends," I'd reply, even though I was struggling. When job hunting became difficult, I didn't share my frustration. "Have you found a job yet?" my dad would ask. "Not yet, Dad, but I'm trying my best," I'd say, hiding the stress. I didn't want to disappoint them. They had worked so hard to send me here, and I promised myself I wouldn't let them down. So I kept my worries to myself, trying to make them proud with every call. After many unsuccessful attempts, I finally managed to get a job at a small cafe near my university. At first, I struggled. The coffee machine was confusing, and customers were impatient. One day, my manager told me I wasn't fast enough and fired me. It felt like a big failure, but I didn't give up. I kept applying for jobs and soon landed another position at a restaurant. This time, I was determined to succeed. It wasn't easy, but I kept learning. Slowly, I gained confidence and improved my skills. Eventually, I became one of the best servers at the restaurant, and a year later, the manager even promoted me. I learned that sometimes you have to fail before you succeed. After a while, I realized my student room was costing too much, so I started looking for a more affordable place to stay. I used websites to find shared apartments. I spent hours browsing listings, checking prices, and reaching out to landlords. Eventually, I found a shared apartment with other students that was much cheaper. It was a huge relief. Moving into the new apartment was a game changer for me. I finally felt more settled. Exploring London. When it came to traveling around the city, it was another challenge. The bus system was confusing at first, and I often ended up on the wrong bus or missed my stop. The train system wasn't much easier. I remember the first time I tried to buy a ticket at the station. The machines were complicated, and I didn't know which zone I was supposed to go to. I was so embarrassed when I had to ask the person behind me for help. They were kind enough to explain the Oyster card system and how to tap in and out. It took me a few tries to get the hang of it, but soon it became second nature. The rush hour in London was a different story. The trains and buses were always packed, and I often had to stand, holding on to a pole like everyone else. Sometimes the noise and crowds made me feel overwhelmed. But over time I got used to it, and it became just another part of life in London. Not everything was difficult. On weekends, I made it a point to explore the city. London has so much to offer, and I wanted to see it all. I visited Buckingham Palace, walked along the River Thames, and spent time in the famous Hyde Park. I made sure to take a trip to Oxford and Brighton too, and I couldn't stop taking photos of the beautiful places I visited. I remember my first time seeing Tower Bridge lit up at night. It felt magical. I stood there and thought, wow, I really made it here. Some weekends, I also went to small villages outside London where I found peace and quiet. Traveling to new places became a way for me to recharge and forget about the challenges I was facing. It was amazing to realize how much of the world I was experiencing by living in London. Slowly, London started to feel like home, getting stronger. Over time, things got better. I found good friends. We helped each other with studies and shared funny stories about life in London. I learned how to cook for myself, manage my rent, and take care of the daily responsibilities that come with living independently. Slowly, I was building a life for myself in London, feeling more at home each day. At university, I learned to ask for help. Professors were kind, and there were study groups where students helped each other. My confidence grew, and I started speaking in class. I wasn't afraid to make mistakes anymore. After completing my 3-year course with good marks, I applied for a job in my field. After a few attempts, I finally landed a great position at a company, a step closer to the career I had always dreamed of. Although I wasn't able to bring my parents to my graduation due to financial reasons, after getting the job and becoming financially stronger, I was finally able to invite them to visit. It was an emotional moment when they arrived in London. Seeing them walk around the city, proud of everything we had achieved together, filled my heart. I had not only fulfilled my dream, but had also made theirs come true, showing them that their sacrifices were worth it. And today, after a few years of hard work, I've achieved the dream I've always had. And now my parents are here with me in London, sharing in the joy of everything we've accomplished together. What I wish I knew before going abroad. Now, when I think about my journey, I understand something important. Studying abroad is not always easy. You feel happy, but sometimes you feel lonely. You enjoy new things, but sometimes you feel lost. But this experience makes you stronger. It teaches you how to live on your own, how to solve problems, and how to believe in yourself. So, if you want to study abroad, be ready for challenges. Life will not always be easy, but don't give up. Keep learning, keep trying, and never forget why you started this journey. One day, you will walk in the same city that once scared you, and you will feel proud because you didn't quit. Thank you.